Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Tuesday day early comic preview show where we preview all the best and coolest new comics that are coming out, some of which today, the DC
Mm-hmm.
books, but most of them come out tomorrow. So we're going to give you a little info on what they're about. We do it in a spoiler free way. We'll let you know the big deal things
Mm-hmm.
like is there a first appearance or a major reason that you might want to grab it. Otherwise, we just kind of tell you what's in the books.
Yeah.
So I'm Jason.
I'm Andy.
We're with Infinity Flux Comics in Chattanooga, Tennessee. So I'd say this is a medium week. It's not a
Yeah.
heavy week. It's not a light week. Definitely some things to talk about. I read
Yeah.
some really good books I can't wait to get to. But Andy, why don't you start us out?
Yeah. I think this week is weighted heavier Marvel for sure. DC was
Yes.
very light this week.
DC did have a light week.
So I think if DC had an equal size as Marvel, we'd be talking about a
It'd
big
be a
week.
lot of, well, that's because of the Future State. I mean, while
Yeah.
Future State was going on, it was just inundated with all these
Yeah.
number ones and endings. However, we have our last Future State book this week.
Yeah. Very interesting that
Yeah.
we have one more.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to start off with a book that I am so excited about. I've said it on the show many times. My favorite Marvel character is Beta Ray Bill, who does not get enough love. Thankfully, I feel like the cult status of Beta Ray Bill has been rising.
It has been. I think so. I think
Mhm,
you're right.
people have admitted to their love, and they've come to terms with it, and now Marvel has given us this new Beta Ray Bill #1. This is actually a going to be a 5-part miniseries. Hopefully, it will go more because I could definitely see this going further. This is written and drawn by Daniel Warren Johnson,
Mm.
who you know from Murder Falcon,
Extremity.
Extremity. Just last year, he did Wonder Woman: Dead Earth.
Yeah.
He's definitely like a powerhouse of a single individual who has the writing chops and art. And if you know his stuff, you definitely know his style, which is, I mean, Murder Falcon is probably like the perfect example of who he is, of just like extreme but great storytelling.
Heavy metal art, even when the story isn't about heavy metal.
Yes, um, but it works so perfect in this. So this is you would think from the cover that it is a tie into King in Black. Now it alludes into in the opening. I want to call it opening crawl like Star Wars, but the opening part of it that yes, a lot's been going on Earth. Thor's been on Earth fighting Null, but Null has also attacked Asgard at the same time,
Right.
which is an interesting thing. He's not just focusing on Earth; it's kind of a multi-front attack. And so Bill has been on in Asgard, kind of defending it. Well, last time we really saw a lot of Beta Ray Bill, Thor was a Bill jerk and broke Stormbreaker, Beta Ray Bill's hammer that he was given by Odin.
Yeah.
This, he was Bill actually picked up Milnor and was deemed worthy. And so Odin thought he was such a great guy that he made him Stormbreaker. Well, that's broken now. And it's kind of the reflection on how Bill is currently is he's when you break his hammer, you kind of lose who he is. He definitely feels depowered. Not just that he is because he doesn't have the hammer, but
Yeah.
he's you can tell he's definitely feeling that depowering
On a
too,
personal
at a
level.
personal level. And let me tell you, this really hits hard on just it's not easy being a horsed face guy in this universe. You kind of go through his trials, his pain of like losing his hammer, but also always kind of playing second fiddle to Thor, even though he's pretty much just as worthy. This explores a lot of that and basically sets up Bill saying, I need my own weapon. I need to go find Odin, and I need that thing that makes me who I am. Which, who knows, in this 5 issue, is he going to learn that, like, he's more than his hammer, or does he actually really need this hammer? His hammer also gives him the ability to transform, much like Thor can turn into Donald Blake. Beta Ray Bill can turn into his more, not human look, but his more kind of manageable,
Right.
his
Not his horsey face.
not his horsed face, Corbinite alien. So a lot comes with that. A lot's explored with his relationship with Sif, which is really interesting. that they touch back on that. His relationship with Thor, his relationship to his sentient kind of computer, Scuttlebutt, that we have not got a lot of, but essentially it explores Bill when he basically got experimented on, turned into this thing, and they give him Scuttlebutt, and it basically tells him like, "I will be in any form of technology that you possess," and exploring that relationship, which no one has touched on in a long time. But I made notes for this, and the notes got so long that I was like, I have said everything I can say. But this is awesome. This has been one of my favorite reads in a long time. Great balance of action and story and heart, character development. So, for sure, even if you weren't reading King and Black, I still definitely recommend this as a pickup. I can't wait for the next issue.
Yeah, I was wondering why they even had to include King and Black on that. As much as I like King and Black, I think everyone was just waiting for a Beta Ray Bill story.
Yeah,
And that was Marvel's last attempt to just go, maybe you don't know them, so let's pull you in
yeah, and
so you
I'll
can
say
get to know
like
them.
it's talked about, it's kind of shown, but it is not imperative that you know everything going on with King and Black. It's touched upon, but it's very off to the
It's like,
side.
let's catch up. Null and his forces are attacking.
Yeah,
Go.
he can possess people. Blah.
Yeah.
There you go. So we've got some amazing variant covers. I'm getting pretty much all of them. So first we have the knock headshot variant, which actually works pretty well for this one. You know, we were talking about which ones it works for. The xenomorph looked good. I think this one actually looks pretty good too.
Yeah. You know the unicorn Halloween costume head people wear as a joke?
Yeah.
I wish they'd make a Beta Ray
Oh,
Bill
that'd be
one.
so good.
Yeah.
Love his new helmet with the feather on the top. Then we have the Stegman variant, which is really nice. Very similar to the headshot, but just way scarier.
Yeah. Creepier.
We have this one, which is really cool. Very almost animated style. Love the coloring, the hard light and shadow on there. Then we have the Coelho Stormbreakers variant, which I think is interesting. I think initially we thought that was Arcade up in the corner, but it's not. You'll see who it is in this. There's a character that is not normally their scene to show up in, um, but you see there Thor and Sif. This is kind of almost like the movie poster for this. These are all the characters you'll see. This big ship up in the corner over here. That's the form that Scuttlebutt takes in this. Is this giant ship, which is really cool. Then we have some really nice incentives. So we have this Walter Simonson throwback classic bill one. This is the 1 in 25 that we're selling to our store and our customers for only 25. And I forgot to mention, in the back of this issue too is an interview with Walter Simonson about the creation of Beta Ray Bill.
That's cool.
Which is really interesting stuff.
That's Marvel going above and beyond.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
and you can tell with this many variants too that they're all in on this.
Yeah.
Like they really believe in this book. Then we have the 1 in 100 Stegman sketch variant. This is the black and white version of the previous one. And we are selling that to our customers for $90. Well worth it.
Thanks to Jason Aaron and Donnie Cates, Marvel is more all in with the Asgardian stuff in general.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Thor, lots of readership on that. Now we got Beta Ray Bill. They're bringing the Valkyries to the forefront. So
yeah, they know there's a movie coming up in the not too distant future.
True. Okay, so my first book is also a Marvel book. I read Avengers Curse of the Man-Thing, #1. So it says right on the cover, who is the Harrower? So this isn't much of a spoiler to say. The Harrower is a new villain. So if you're collecting all first appearances and such, this is her first appearance. Now, who is she exactly? It's kind of hard to say. But I'll tell you, as a villain, she has a plan to wipe out humanity. Why? With Man-Thing, you're going to have everything having to do with nature. And it's pretty easy to say that mankind kind of throws off nature in a lot of ways. So she wants to decimate us and start again, let some other creature rise up and give them a shot being the top dog on the planet. The Harrower is a witch, and it's pretty funny because she tells her plan to all these other witches, and they're like, you're crazy. Don't do that. It's dangerous. And I won't tell you what the plan is, but it has to do with the Man-Thing, and it has to do with his powers.
Mm.
Which, if you don't know, one of Man-Thing's main powers is if he touches you, you catch on fire.
Yeah.
So not a real good guy to have a handshake with or a hug or anything like that. So plants start attacking the Earth. This is part of her plan, not all of it. And the Avengers launch to stop her. So you got Black Panther, you got Captain Marvel, She-Hulk, Captain America. They're trying to stop her. The real surprise to this book is, as much as it is about Man-Thing, apparently it's just as much about Captain America. And I didn't see this coming. So one thing a lot of people don't know about Man-Thing is part of his creation was due to the super soldier serum gone wrong. The same one that created Captain America. So I guess he could have been Captain Man-Thing if the same thing had happened. Well, it appears they're about to delve into that. There is a revelation about the super soldier serum, and Captain America is pretty focal in this one. So if you're a Captain America fan, or you want to see if they're going to sort of like add to that mythology, that's where I think this is going.
Mm.
So fairly solid first issue. A lot of characters, but mainly Captain America, and of course the gentleman who is the Man-Thing, Dr. Ted Sallis. There are some variants. The first one is the Carnero variant, Man-Thing with the Harrower right there in front of him. She looks like she could be so nice, but
I don't know.
instead she wants to kill all of us humans. Then we have the Stormbreaker Cassera variant.
I like that one. I like how his eyes are like little glowing globes.
Yeah. I bet if the Man-Thing tried really hard, he could look cute with those big eyes.
I say so.
He'd have the doe eyes. Then, of course, we have, this is the big one, the Patrick Gleason Webhead one. So Webhead, it's not just for spider characters. Previously, we had, of course, the Spider-Man ones. We had the Carnage one, and now this one.
Is there actually webbing, or is it just like doodle lines on that one?
It's just doodle lines, I think, but it's in the same style. So if you're collecting
I wonder
all
if
those...
there's a spider hidden somewhere on there, like the other ones.
I didn't spend enough time looking for that. That's a good suggestion. There's also the 1 in 10 Carnero design variant of Harrower. We are selling to our customers and pull people for $20. So this is one to look out for at whatever store you shop at if you're trying to get first appearance stuff.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So
what is next?
Next, it was such a light DC week. I didn't have a ton of DC stuff to read, so I'll just briefly mention we have Batman Catwoman number 4. This was an issue in the series I was excited about because this delves more, as you see on the cover, to Helena Wayne, who this is actually in the continuity of that Batman annual that Tom King did that was like set in the future.
Yeah.
This is in the same continuity as that. So you see her as, I'm not sure if they're calling her Batwoman or if she's just still Batman in this. But this series has been like 3 different, not timelines, but kind of the past, the present, and the future. It weaves them together great, but this is considered her first cover appearance as this new Bat character. The art in this is fantastic. It's written really interesting. You have Phantasm show up in a big way in this one. So just wanted to mention that. Not a whole lot of DC stuff this week, but still some of the stuff coming out is really solid, interesting books.
Yeah, I like the cover. I like the gold on the cover.
Oh, let me show the variants too. Almost forgot because I think this is such a cool Jim Lee variant that really shows off Helena Wayne's suit. Love that one. And I think this is the
Batcat.
The Terrest variant too, which is really nice.
Okay, so from DC, I read Flash 768. So this is, of course, with the new creative team that has taken over post Future State. This was a really cool read. So, as Andy said, not a lot of DC this week, but I had a lot of fun reading this. So, what's it about? Basically, Wally West, he has had it. He is quitting. He's done with being a superhero, and for a lot of reasons. This even harkens back to what was it, the Tom King one where
Oh, the Crisis.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, Heroes in
Heroes in
Crisis.
Crisis.
Yeah, where he had gone crazy and was
Hmm.
being killing people and
Yeah.
such. So that hasn't been forgotten. It gets brought up in this, and he tells Barry Allen in the Justice League, "Hey, not only am I done with being a hero, I don't want my powers anymore. I want to be separated from the Speed Force because even if and this is smart. It's like he reads comics. He's like, even if I quit, if I have the powers, something's going to make me use
Yeah.
them, which that is always how it happens. So Barry does have a way to disconnect him from the Speed Force, but the method that they use, something goes awry, and they're not sure why, and it starts flinging Wally West through time. And in one part of it, he ends up in some prehistoric era, and it was a really cool read because let's just say, what would it be like for Wally West with his powers to get hunted by a velociraptor who also has the Speed Force? So you got dinosaurs, like the Speed Force is also having some problems, and all that was really really fun. I really liked all that. Then he gets flung somewhere else, and I won't say where, but I will say that Gold Beetle makes an appearance in this comic.
Okay,
It
cool.
was a small appearance. I know a lot of people are sort of collecting her.
Hmm.
She first appeared in Future State Suicide Squad. She's back in this. So if you thought she would be in the next issue because they've shown her on the cover, she's already in it. Just a smidge,
Yeah.
but don't want anyone to miss that. And then we have this very cool Ian McDonald variant. So for those of you who aren't reading Flash or you fell off a while ago, or maybe you're just considering starting to read it, this is a great issue to jump on.
Mm.
This is the jump on point. Don't let the 768 number
Yeah.
fool you. I'm happy DC's not relaunching number ones every
Hmm.
single time they want readers to jump on. So just hear my words. The water's fine. Come on in. It was a solid Flash issue.
Is Wally still wearing that Doctor Manhattan suit?
No, that
Okay.
was just on the variant.
That's what I was saying. I was like, I thought we kind of dealt with that in
Yeah,
Death Metal.
I
Okay.
think they just wanted to differentiate just to show you guys what Andy's
Yeah.
talking about. So, no, he's not.
Cool. Well, Wally's my favorite Flash, and so I'm very excited that he's finally getting the like, oh, he's not just in an event book. He's not just in this.
Yeah,
It's like, no, he is a important member of the Flash family.
this is not a one and done. I mean, he is going to stay the focus of this
Hmm.
book for a little while.
That is great. So next up is a new book from Vault called Witch Blood. This is by Matthew Ehrman and Lisa Sterl, and the cover art you see right there is the interior art. So the coloring and everything, it is very bright, um, which is interesting juxtaposed with this is a story about witches and vampires. Um, it's a little bit of a road trip, as you see. Our main character here, Yana, is a witch, and we don't quite know. I don't believe, unless I completely missed it, why she's really on the run. I mean, she's a pretty rough character. She has a friend that's a crow, and she's talking to the crow, and it's like, you know what? I've got some bills to pay. I need to go rob somebody, and so she's kind of
Yeah,
she gave me a little Harley Quinn vibe of
okay.
like she's
That's
probably a
not very
pretty
heroic.
no, it's like she's probably a pretty nice person, but you don't want to be the focus of her crime or anything. And so she is finds out that she is being pursued by a biker gang of vampires, and she meets kind of a I don't know if you would even say a vampire hunter or a witch hunter, just kind of a like I know about your world and you need to watch out type thing. But the tone of it is light. It's still a mature read with just language and situations and everything, but it does have a very animated, poppy, bright colors look to it, which I think is an interesting thing when you're dealing with like these dark vampires and everything. So it really cool, fun first issue, pretty. I could see it being a miniseries. I could see also them fleshing this world out into, I want to see what the other witches are like or whatever. Are they all similar to her? Is this whole world kind of this Americana uh, road trippy motorcycles, cars type thing? So good first issue.
Yeah, I like the books where two different sides of the occult sort of clash.
Yeah,
Witches versus vampires. That's the elevator pitch.
yeah. It's a, it's like Underworld but bright. So we have a few variants for this too. You can kind of see some of the characters on there. So this one, which is a awesome homage cover to Dazzler's
Yeah,
first appearance. And the witches in this do kind of have their own kind of mutantish powers. They've got that vampire, or the witches have that like I can kind of tell you what to do. I can force mind trick you into doing stuff for me, and when they run against someone who that doesn't work on, it's kind of alarming. Then we have this like tarot card version. So you could definitely see the motorcycle aesthetic of this is pretty heavy, which is really cool. Then finally we have the 1 in 15, the Yoshitani Yoshitani variant. Um, really cool too. And we are selling that to our customers for 15. So cool new book from Vault. Glad we have so many like what we would consider kind of minor publishers, but they're all hitting
they
really
are.
hard right now.
They really are. So another indie book that has come out that to much acclaim so far is Shadecraft #1. This is from Image Comics. So before I even tell you about the book, I'll go ahead and say that, and I don't know how these deals form. This has already been optioned and it is in development at Netflix. It's funny how comics and TV and movies, they just get closer and closer to where this can be released and they're already in development with it.
I wonder if they send out like promo copies to studios or something.
They would have to, and people just have to know each other and have working relationships and such. So let me tell you what it's about. And what I think is cool about knowing things are in development, it just gives people a chance to get ahead. I'm that person. I want to read things before everybody, and especially before I see things. So the premise is there is a girl named Zadie. She's a teenager, and she's afraid of her own shadow. So you've heard the expression, "You're scared of your own shadow." Well, she really is. Her shadow kind of freaks her out. Well, what happens when shadows actually start attacking people around her? And she's able to stop them. Like if somebody were to attack Andy, I'm sure my reflex would be I'd try to stop him.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I would. Well, Zadie's able to do this. Just reflective, her reflexes let her do it. But the people don't see, so she comes off as crazy.
Yeah.
She's all of a sudden throwing herself around and doing things, and the people are like, "What are you doing?" And she doesn't want to tell them. And the people she does tell, well, they think that she's kind of losing it. And the bigger question is, what about her own shadow? Is her own shadow on her side, or is it evil? And what does her brother have to do with it? Her brother is been in a coma due to an accident for a long time. How does that all figure into this, or does it figure into this? So pretty interesting concept, pretty cool first issue. And there is two variants. Here is the first variant. This is the shadow variant.
No way.
For obvious reasons. Yeah, the end of the issue, it has a pretty big ending that kind of hints at where this is going from here. But a decent setup issue. And then there is a blank variant.
So are the shadows in this, are they like Shadow Link from where they're like exact copies of things they're shadows of? Or are they kind of like amorphous monsters?
They start exact, but then they can get amorphous and monstrous.
So both.
Yeah.
Both.
And I'll just say, she might not be all alone in this. Some of the shadows might want to help her. So
is this a miniseries or
it's ongoing? Yeah,
okay,
it's
cool.
announced as ongoing.
Nice. So now we have Silk #1. I've been a big fan of Silk. I was, reading Amazing Spider-Man. I think Amazing Spider-Man 14 after the relaunch, her first appearance, something around there, during the original Sin story arc, where Cindy Moon was introduced as this kind of almost played off as like a what if version of Peter Parker. She was bitten by the same spider, but instead of like recovering and becoming a superhero like Spider-Man, she was taken in and like experimented on and kept like locked away because of her spider powers. And then during that original story arc, she got released, and so you kind of have these two different versions of the same situations. You got Peter
Right.
Parker, who went on to be this fun-loving guy, and then Cindy Moon, who's pretty troubled.
Mm.
She's adjusting well. She's of course had her own series before, and all the Spider Verse stuff. So she's now like an official member of the Spider family, but she is coming back for this. I believe it's a mini series. From what I've researched, I could see it going on longer, but this is kind of reintroducing her to people because it's been a while since we've had that. So this gives you a little more backstory on where she came from and everything, and also her job now working for Threats and Menaces, which is the new company that J. Jonah Jameson works for, which he does not fit with at all. This is a very BuzzFeed esque listicles and very technology driven. And of course, J. Jonah James is like, I don't understand any of this, but it's making me money. Well, they've hired Cindy to be one of the reporters. One of her first investigations with this is the strange murders that have the victims have weird markings on them, almost look like claw marks. So it sets up this mystery about what's doing this. Introduces a lot of the supporting cast that work in this place. You know, you've got your normal stop and robbers and everything as Silk, but this is definitely building up her own identity, I would say, rather than oh, you know, it's one of those like all my friends are Spider-Man's friends. It's like no, she's got her own
Right.
circle too that she runs in. This does I looked it up to make sure it had a first appearance of a new villain
Hmm.
that seems to be going to be playing a pretty big part in Cindy's life and maybe even some more history to her as well. There's a return of a really great villain that we see at the end that is it's not their first appearance, but we haven't seen in a while that are a really interesting character. So they're still pulling from this the Spider-Man lore and everything, but this is really good. If you haven't read any Silk before, this is a great jumping on point. If you really just like the character, they're going to be doing a lot with her coming up. This is a really good opener. I'm really interested to see where it goes because this is a very setup-y issue. Um, there's she has a new job working with Jameson that's going to be very interesting going forward. Um, she seems to maybe even going to be his bodyguard.
Huh.
So really fun first issue. It's definitely a good starting point for this series going forward. So really good stuff. And
J. Jonah Jameson is, I've always liked that character a lot, but you have to be able to laugh. You have to find enjoyment in people who miss the point or
yeah,
who, I mean, he always has power and he always wields it very unfairly.
yeah.
And you either got to laugh at that or you're not
Or
really getting them.
you can get really frustrated with him too.
Yeah, yeah.
He also he always calls her analog because instead of like typing everything, she always writes things down on a like a scratch piece of paper or whatever, and he really respects that.
Hmm.
And you get a lot of like, oh, he keeps her around because she kind of reminds him like this is real reporting and
Hmm.
everything, and it's a really interesting relationship that they have. There's some great variant covers for it. So this is one of the most popular ones.
That's got to be
This is
remote
the
now.
Woo, I
Woo.
think. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, because
variant.
yeah, I confuse some of other Woo stuff a little bit, like
Yeah,
Momoko,
it
just because
looks
the
a lot like
coloring
Peach
and
Momoko, that same watercolor style, but
yeah.
still very distinct. If you look at it up close, they do have very distinct styles.
Hmm.
Love that kind of traditional style outfit she has on there. This one, which is the
That's the what Lee,
yeah
Daniel Lee,
uh,
or
uh, Jung.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Chun-Li.
Uh, love this one.
Yeah, that's
This
the
one's
lead.
so nice. This looks like a pricey variant. You'll see
Yeah,
a version of it later that is, but
that's kind of the chase one right
yeah,
now. Especially the higher price one of it you'll
yeah.
show in a little bit.
We got this really fun Scotty Young variant. You can see there, she doesn't shoot her webs the normal way like Peter Parker. She actually has organic webs like the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, and she shoots them out of her fingertips, which is interesting.
Hmm.
Then we have this is the 1 in 25 Bengal variant. And then we have, and we're selling that one for 25. Then we have the big one. This is the 1 in 100 Lee Virgin variant. We're selling locally for 150. And I think that's a great price because I think Silk is on the rise.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of talks about her being in.
And that cover is so nice
Mm-hmm.
that, when you pull the trade dress away, it
Yeah.
improved it. It
Mm-hmm.
really did.
So I think a lot of people probably should be specking on Silk stuff because I think her star is on the rise.
Okay, so the next book that we will go over, it is my first of 3 King in Blacks I'm going to talk about. This is King in Black Ghost Rider #1. This is a one-shot book showing what is Ghost Rider up to. Now, the first thing you have to do when you bring up Ghost Rider is you have to clarify which one.
Which one?
Yeah, I grew up in the 90s, obviously, so Danny Ketch was my first Ghost Rider, but then right away I had to find out the history, and I got real into Johnny Blaze.
Mm-hmm.
Robbie Reyes I know a lot less. And I think earlier I mentioned to you I'd read some Robbie Reyes lately. This is not actually it. Robbie Reyes actually is the focal point of Avengers #45, which I got to read an advanced copy of. But back to this King in Black Ghost Rider. So it's Johnny Blaze. Now, it's pretty interesting because Donny Cates did some things to change up what's going on with Johnny Blaze. He had it where Johnny Blaze became the king of hell. He took the throne from Mephisto. Well, in this, it kind of catches you up, but basically Mephisto has escaped the prison that Johnny Blaze had him in, and Blaze has caught him again and is taking him back to the prison in hell when even more all hell breaks loose because Null and his forces show up on Earth. Well, pretty much Blaze has to make a decision. Are you going to take Mephisto to hell and make sure he stays in prison and all that and you can keep rolling hell? Or are you going to stop to try to help save Earth from Null's forces? Well, as a hero, guess which one he does? In fact, he tries to do them both. I'll say that. He tries to do them both. It is also a bit of a team book. Some characters we haven't seen in a long time show up and try to help out. It's a really good one and done. And what I'll say is by the end of it, it's pretty cool because the King in Black stuff's wrapping up. So a lot of the threads Donny Cates put out there, I think people are starting to wrap up, probably under his blessing. Something does happen at the end of this as far as with Mephisto and who is the ruler of hell. There is a power change that I believe will continue for a while and end up in other books. So, pretty cool issue. And here is the variant by... Who did the variant? The Perel variant.
I think the storyline they've been doing in Ghost Rider is interesting because it's been like secretly a long-running storyline through a lot of books.
It's true.
It started a long time ago with Donny Cates, with that story that had like Doctor Strange and like Ghost Rider and a few others.
Yeah.
And then it like sidelined and it was in Savage Avengers for a little bit with them like going into hell or breaking into Las Vegas where Mephisto's being held.
That story was so fun.
So it's been like, if you've been following the story, you've jumped through a lot of books, but it's really cohesive through it. It's really cool. So I hope there's like a reading order for like the Mephisto saga somewhere.
This is sort of the end cap of it, except it doesn't exactly show you what's going to happen with Johnny Blaze next. That's the only thing that's
it
left
has
a
to
bit
be something.
uncertain.
They've been doing so much Ghost Rider, and yes, like his main series got canceled, but then we had that that Vengeance one shot.
Right.
We've got, he gets his own tie-in issue. You can tell Marvel really wants to use Ghost Rider. We just have to figure out how and where.
And like I said, Robbie Reyes is a major part of
Mhm.
Avengers 45.
Yeah.
He's sort of like the lens we see what goes on in that.
That's cool.
So.
Okay, next up, let's see. We have the latest issue of Spawn. This is Spawn 316. Not a whole lot to say about this other than we are still really gearing up towards this Spawn universe.
Spawn's universe.
Wanted to bring it up because even today we got more information about it, about Jim Chung being one of the main artists on this book coming up. So, I mean, now is definitely the time to jump back into Spawn. I feel like they're going to be doing some crazy stuff coming up with it. It's great right now. It's so much fun. There's all these different versions of Spawn. There's Gunslinger Spawn. There's Omega Spawn. There's Medieval Spawn. They're all in it.
Spawn.
She Spawn. It's like McFarlane's like just everything. Just go all out. So really cool. And as always, I mean, they've been knocking it out with the variants in this. So I believe this is the Revolver, or no, this is the Bruno Redondo, I think.
Okay. Redondo.
So really cool with the big Spawn and him, and then that might not be Redondo. I keep thinking of that name, but that's the guy working on Nightwing.
We put this show together at the last minute. It's not because we procrastinate. It's because we just got these books.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm literally looking at the camera or looking at the screen to see some of the covers he's showing me because he picked out ones I wanted to see.
Yeah. So here is the Capullo variant, which is always cool. We've got the Plague Spawn that's in this and looks like another really cool character. Then we have the black and white version of that Capullo variant, which McFarlane inked, and you can definitely tell with his style.
All right, so the next book is pretty interesting, and that is the last Future State book. This is it. Superman versus Imperious Lex, number 3, the final Future State book. But I will say, Future State, the repercussions are still going on. They have not forgotten about it. This wasn't just something they did and then they forgot. I mean, Teen Titans Academy is still happening. Stuff showing up in Flash. Stuff.
Yeah, they're doing that. The first like Superman annual or whatever is going back to the older Superman with his family. So I think all of this stuff is still really relevant.
Batman, the Second Son. I mean, I so many events. I mean, even more than most Marvel events. This one, it seems like it's really mattering.
Yeah.
So with King and Black, we'll have to see afterwards. However, so Superman versus Imperious Lex number 3. Now, I don't think too many people are going to run out to go buy this if they haven't already been reading it. But I read it, and you're still going to hear about it. It was fun. The first 2, I was like, okay, this is all right. I kind of like it. Has a lot of Lois Lane in it. You know, she's older. She's wizened. She's you know, just become very good with politics. Lex Luthor, there were some comedy bits in it because he's running this planet. This one, they just said, okay, let's just make it funny. Let's just really lean into the humor, and they did a really good job. It really amused me. I had a lot of fun. So if you read the first 2 and you're iffy on this one, I'd grab it. I thought it was a good ending. There's no spec to it, really.
Yeah.
It's a read. But Lex Luthor, he has run this planet's economy into the ground with his nefarious plans, and now he needs a scapegoat. A lot of this book is the news keeps wanting to report on the bad things about to happen to the planet, and Lex keeps coming up with these ingenious ways to spin it to make him look good and other people look bad. So if you find that amusing, I know we have a lot of that in our real world, but if you find that amusing, that sort of satire like I do, I think you'll enjoy it. There's this little robot that just loves his creator, Lex Luthor, and he needs to, you know, have a scapegoat. Well, I wonder who it's going to be. Will it be some deserving, you know, criminal? Will Lex stand up and take the blame himself? Probably not. So a really funny book. What I'll say is, Lex gets his comeuppance in this book. If you think he always gets away with things, or in the end he has a plan out, he gets his comeuppance. But it's really amusing to watch him try to wriggle out of that. And it was written really well in that way. I think this one, the writer really leaned into, I think, where it was going to
Hmm.
begin with. So, and it has this Nakayama variant.
Cool. Next, we have another one just mentioned real quick. It's Department of Truth #7. I mean, what more can you say about Department of Truth? It has been one of the biggest kind of breakout hits, which I feel like we kind of knew. We've been in this business long enough to be like,
We were
James Tynion
prepared.
is really good. This seems really interesting. Well, there's been so many people. Just today, a guy came in and bought Volume One,
Yeah.
and then all of the issues since then, like
All the
six.
reprints of the
Yeah,
issues.
yeah, bought the whole thing
Yeah.
because he's like, people keep telling me this is awesome. It is.
He's
It
he's
is.
coming back and we're trading. He has a cover I don't have and I have one he doesn't have. So he's
Oh,
coming
that's
back
awesome.
tomorrow and the trade is on.
That's awesome. So this is. I mean, this is great. This is. I'm sure you've heard about it so far. We've talked about it to death. What if all of the conspiracy theories, I wouldn't say all of them are true. They'll have the potential to be true, depending on how many people buy into them. So we had with the last issue, we had a change of art, which was merited. It wasn't like, oh no, they got a new artist. The story dictated this new artist. This is a new artist as well, and once again, there is a reason for it. So kind of seems like maybe we're back in time a little bit. We're kind of seeing some of the early um, days of some of our main characters that we've been seeing in the main story, and maybe their first meetings. Um, some more stuff about the Men in Black, which I think is such a fun idea that they're putting in this, and the kind of theme of this issue I think is interesting because it's you know someone brings up the point. It's like we're not scared of aliens. We're more scared of the Men in Black and how they want us to forget about the aliens. So, it's a lot of that kind of stuff. Really cool issue. Um, pretty much not, I don't know if it was officially announced about, it going on to be a project, a movie or TV show or whatever.
It is. It's
It
optioned.
is, it's
Yep.
optioned. So
Big money's behind it too. It's
yeah,
not. It's not like one of those options where it's like, oh, it's enough money that we might do something. It's like big
yeah,
money behind
and
it.
I could see it. The budget wouldn't have to be huge on it. It would just take some really good actors to flesh out this world. But yes, this is Department of Truth #7. I believe it had a variant, but I think we sold out of it completely.
Oh.
Um, but I would have showed that to you. It's cool. It's got a cow on it. But yeah, Department of Truth #7.
I will say I know an upcoming plot line that they just announced for it is they're going to do their take on Bigfoot. And I can't wait
That's
for that.
awesome.
Yeah, I think that's going to be good.
Get into all the cryptids.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
Okay, so it is the final issue of King in Black: Return of the Valkyries, the fourth and final issue. In this, the Valkyries they have to sort of call the charge together. They have to bring up their courage because they have a plan against Null. They want to try to get his Necro sword away from him.
Mm.
Which Null, he's already super powerful. The Necro sword is both one of the few things that can hurt him,
Mm-hmm.
and of course it's so powerful it just makes him even harder to beat that he
Mm-hmm.
wields it and slices and dices people up with it. I mean, he made pretty short work of Thor
Yeah,
pretty early on.
that was rough.
So the Valkyries, that is their plan. Can they do it? I can't reveal what happens. That would be too much. But they sort of do a rally. They have a plan. They launch it. Some things happen, and it gets resolved. You'll just have to read the rest to see what happens. Here is the Phil Noto variant. We were mentioning earlier how the Valkyries, they're not going away. They're
Yep.
getting their own series, the Mighty Valkyries.
Yep.
So, cool team book.
And just you don't have to wait long either. By the time that this isn't the last issue of Return of the Valkyries, is it?
I think so.
Okay,
Yep.
so you've only got about a month
Yeah,
before
until their series launches.
Yep.
And then there is the Knock head variant with Moonstar.
So I think my final thing I have is I've been slowly replacing these. Oh, no, let me do this one first. this week we see Marvel Action Spider-Man #1. So they've been doing a lot of these Marvel Action titles. They had Marvel Action Captain Marvel, Marvel Action Avengers. There was a couple of like a Black Panther one shot and everything. But this is a lot of fun. This is an all ages book, and I think all ages with this is Spider-Man is still in high school, but this version of his high school is really cool because Doc Ock is one of his teachers, or Dr. Otto Octavius. Um, the gym teacher is Gargan, who we know is Scorpion. It's kind of one of those like let's condense Spider-Man's world all into a just his school, which is fun. Like it's one of those like, oh, I want to see what like all the other teachers is like Norman Osborn the principal or something. But also he goes to school with Cindy Moon, who we mentioned earlier, Silk and everything, and so this is a fun kind of high school age Spider-Man. The art on the cover is the interior art, so it's pretty cartoony, but really fun, especially if you're a fan of the Ultimate Spider-Man TV show, any of that. So this was a really fun read, and yeah, I like when they present these characters in different ways and give them the different jobs and how do you make their worlds collide. And then we have the 1 in 10 Murphy variant for only $12. And I saw this variant was on like one of the big spec sites this week.
Really?
Yeah. So really cool. Yep, only $12.
Okay, well, the next one I read, and this is one I always read as early as I can. I've been enjoying it. It's superheroes, but a little bit of thinking. It is crossover #5. 4 I really enjoyed. This one was cool, but I will say it ended where it's like, oh, something really awesome is about to happen. I need more, and I wish it were there. So in this one, we talked a lot about this. The other issue, they showed that there was a superhero being kept in a basement
Mm-hmm.
by the villain. And the superhero looked very emaciated. We looked at the suit. We were trying to figure out who is it, who is it, who is it, and we couldn't figure it out. We asked all our friends. I'm not sure if it is anyone actually. It gets revealed as to who this person is, but more than who is this hero being kept, to what purpose gets revealed in a big way in this. Something very big happens. Now, the other stuff that's going on, you have Ellie and Madman and the team. They're trying to get into the dome.
Mm-hmm.
They want to get the little girl back to her family.
Mm-hmm.
It's not too much to say. They do make it in this issue. But not a lot gets shown yet because there's problems once they get in that stop them from getting far into what used to be Denver. Also, what happens when Ellie tries to wield Valifax?
Mm-hmm.
Can a human from our world take something that is from the superhero world, and what would that do to them? I'll just go ahead and say it does something awesome to them. And lastly, the little girl that they're helping to get into the dome, Ava, it's been shown that she has a lot of power.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of power she's been keeping secret. Well, the secret comes out, but it's not necessarily in a good way. And what happens when this happens, and can she be stopped? That has a lot to do with the ending of this issue. So, real cool read. A lot of us here are reading crossover. I think a lot. There was the expectation there'd be a ton of crossovers right out the beginning, and there isn't. They're being rolled out slowly. I don't think I missed any new crossover thing in this, but give it time. I think Image and this title are all planning some big stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe even Spawn's universe.
I was about to say, this story arc, which ends in the next issue, is called Kids Love Chains.
Correct.
Which was a thing spoken by Todd McFarlane.
We're pulling that something or someone from Spawn as maybe in next issue. And maybe, they're in the dome. They can see any hero.
Yeah.
As long as he gets the creator or owner of the license to agree to it. There is a blank variant. I wonder how far in they're going to do these blank variants. This is issue number 5.
Issue.
And it's a blank variant. Here is the 1 in 10 variant. that we are selling to people who are on our poll list for $10. Here is the 1 in 25 sketch version of that for $20. And then they've also been doing these 1 in 50 ellipses versions. Of course, our main character, her name is Ellie. She works at a comic book store, so she knows she's cool. You know, she's got style, good outfit. Maybe wields Valifax in this one. You'll just have to read it. So this is the 1 in 50 cover we have for $35. I think I grabbed more than you, so I have some other ones.
I did want to go
Oh
over.
yeah, these.
So they've been doing these Women's History Month variants, which have been awesome. They're all by Jen Bartel. They're all a character, and then they're kind of dressed in the style of the year of their first appearance, which I think is really neat. So this week we've got for X-Men number 19. It's awesome Emma Frost.
Yeah, that's great.
Her first appearance was in 1980. Whoop. Took a nosedive.
If somebody walked in dressed like that, my head would explode.
Yeah, I'd be like, oh, what giant party? What?
Yeah. What dimension are you from, and can you take me there?
Yeah. Then we have the Silk one. I think hers is what 2014. So pretty recent.
Them
for
putting
Silk.
all the dates.
I think it's
nice
cool.
Touch.
It makes
really
you like
nice
look
touch.
at the costume, and be like, oh yeah. Then we have this one is really interesting. So this is for the Ghost Rider. This is the 2016. Yeah, 2016 of the female Ghost Rider. It's really cool.
Yeah, she doesn't pop up in a lot, but maybe that's the signal that
Yeah.
you're bringing her back.
And then I love this one. This is the for Black Cat number 4 from 1979. The Black Cat.
So fuzzy.
Yeah, and her really fuzzy dress. Just great. All these covers are so good. I know we've been collecting all of them. Just they're going to look so good in a big set together.
Okay, so this is the last King in Black one I'll be speaking about today, and it's also the final issue of Symbiote Spider-Man King in Black. This is the 5th and final issue, which is pretty interesting. This is set back when Peter Parker had the symbiote suit. So even though King in Black is happening in current time, Marvel time, Null was already pulling strings back then. It sort of rewrites certain events. So there's the villain Mr. E, and Mr. E, it turns out, is one of Null's acolytes. Well, in this one, Null he basically begs Null, he's like, could you give me all my power, maybe even a little extra?
Mm-hmm.
And Null agrees. He gives Mr. E all his power. So can the heroes stop him this way? I'll tell you, they have a real tough time. It seems like nothing can get Mr. E. One of his powers is he just sort of can't be hit by anything.
Mm.
Now, the characters do have the Ebony Blade, which they used on him to good effect in previous issues, but that doesn't seem to be working much anymore. So how can they come up with a way to stop Mr. E this time around? Some takeaways, though. Uatu, the Watcher, is in this, and I think he does, his whole thing is he watches. He can't do anything.
Yeah.
I think he does more in this than I've seen him doing almost anything. He does something, in my opinion.
I mean, a lot of the times he's a bad watcher.
Yeah.
He gets involved a little too much. That's kind of his shtick.
This one, it's even more so. And usually his involvement is he'll tell someone something.
Yeah.
This one, you'll just have to see. There's almost like some intimidation. There's almost some flexing going on.
Wow.
Yeah, and the other funny thing is Peter Parker is drinking mocktails. So I just thought that was amusing. Him drinking his mocktails.
I think it's funny, like, you've got someone like the Watcher, you'd think all the other Watchers would go to him and be like, you're getting reassigned. You are sticking your finger in Earth way too much.
There is a 1 in 25 variant by Raposa, which is very cool, that we are selling for $30.
Okay, I've got some a variant to go over. This is for the Union, which is no longer a tie-in with King in Black. It kind of started out as like a big King in Black tie-in.
Went on to do its own stuff.
And now it's finding its own legs. So this is the design variant for issue 4. This is a 1 in 10 variant.
My favorite
of the
character.
best character out of the
Yes.
book, Snakes,
Snakes.
who revealed is actually just a bundle of snakes.
This has been a great fun read.
Yeah,
I mean, this isn't like high drama going to make you tear up, but it is a well done
it
story.
came out of the gate though with a pretty major death that
Mhm.
kind of shocked everybody.
Yeah.
But yes, we are selling this one here for $12. But I love Marvel been doing these design variants. It's really good props to their design team with all, especially these new characters. That how much work goes into those.
Yeah. So, wanted to mention also Cult of Dracula #1 is out as of tomorrow again. They have moved to Source Point Press. They were having trouble over at the other one, moving on and getting that #2 out. So they re-release #1 with some new covers.
Great covers.
Yeah, really good covers. I actually only have two of them. The third one we sold out of already. So this is written by Rich Davis, who was nice enough to come by and do a signing several months back. Really nice dude. And here is the Mar variant. I'd also like to mention this book has been optioned.
Yeah, when he was here, he was like,
Yeah.
"Keep your eyes open.
He
There's
hinted
big,
heavily.
yeah, there's big stuff coming."
Yeah, and then it got optioned, and that #1's price went up. So here's a way you can get a different #1. It's the same book, just better. I like these covers more. I'll say. I
Yeah,
won't say better, but I like them
they're
more.
different for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Next up, we have this is for Firefly #27, the one per store variant. So Firefly, this one's very dark, so it's kind of hard to see, but they just launched that Firefly brand new
Brand new
verse
verse, yeah.
Last week, I believe. So yeah, they're still all in on Firefly. It's really cool. They're doing these one per store variants. We're selling this one locally for 12. You've got Wash on the cover.
Yeah, I like it because Wash, he's such a bright personality, and they put him in the darkness, and you
You've
kind
seen
of know what's going to
you've
happen.
seen Serenity, haven't you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because there's that joke of like, how do you clean your rubble or your shrapnel? You run it through the wash. It's real bad. It's real rough.
Okay, I have one more to show. It is an incentive variant for Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Unlimited Air to Darkness. This is the one per store Mora cover that we are selling for $50. This one is going for a lot of money right now.
People are really excited. I mean, Power Rangers is cool because it started out big back when Kyle Higgins was writing it. It kind of found its audience. It did well, and then suddenly like this the Draken stuff heated up. They started doing the Ranger Slayer stuff. Now this it's hitting another boost.
Yeah, the villain in this, I mean, she's like one of the biggest steel villains they've had in ages.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
which I'm glad they need more than just Rita
Rita and
also.
Zed, and
Yeah.
it's cool though Dan Mora doing that cover because of course he's the artist on Detective Comics now, but he was doing Power Rangers back in the day. That's kind of one of the places he got his start, and it's like he's still like giving back to Power Rangers.
He graduated and they invited him back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did want to mention this real quick. So a lot of press has been coming out about this. This is the other history of the DC Universe, book 3. You can look it up, all the stuff about it with Deathstroke and everything. Bleeding Cool had a big article on it, but also just a reminder that this book is very interesting, telling the history of the DC Universe from some voices that maybe didn't get heard initially.
Yeah.
But this one is really cool, especially centering on like a lot about Katana, as you see on the cover, Teen Titans, and everything. So don't forget about these books. These are really cool and really important books.
All right, and that is our show for you today. We hope we have helped you in deciding what comics you're going to pick up tomorrow.
Probably all of them. They should probably get all of them.
Yeah, if you come to our store, just load up the cart.
Tell them you want the YouTube special, and that's where you get everything that we talked about on the show.
And every Dynamite cover for sure.
Yep, for sure.
Definitely
yeah, that's a
get
given.
every one of those. Help me buy a yacht in about 4 weeks. But thank you very much. We also do our Friday show, Comics from the Future, where we go over all the comics and covers that are still open order. So, for instance, we went over all these
Hmm.
3, 4 weeks ago, back when you could have ordered as many as you want.
Hmm.
So that's a real fun show, and we get to have Megan on that show.
Yes,
We
she
get our
gets to
third
join us.
hostess. Yeah, we're really busy right now. She has to run the register while we do this.
I know eventually it's going to be just one of us sitting here crying into our hands.
Oh man, there's too much to
As
go
people
over.
beat on the door and like, we need help. And we're
But
like,
whether you watch us on our Facebook channel or our YouTube channel, thank you very much. We put the video in both
hmm.
spots where we've been growing our viewership. We just hit over 700 subscribers on YouTube. So
Yay.
thank you very much. If you enjoy these videos, please hit subscribe.
Tell a friend.
Yeah, we want to get to 1,000. That's the goal.
Yes.
So
And then we'll party. We'll have a big 1,000. We'll read 1,000 comics live on air.
oh man, the filibuster of comic reading.
Yes.
All right. Well, I think that with that, have a great rest of your day.
Bye.